Hey guys, it's me, Amy. No Dion. I do have Derek off here to the side, and say hi, Derek.
Hi.
It's lonely, right?
Yeah, it's really quiet here.
It's lonely here, but really only because we've got so much of the team working crazy on the spring collection and bringing me coffee, which I'm so excited about, so I don't die on you guys. But it's going to be a good show, and we've got our spring collection, part of it hidden behind me. If you guys saw it, we would have to like hunt you down. But it's going to be a good show. So we're going to talk about irony today, and we're going to do it like old school style, okay? So I'm going to be kind of reading from this a little bit, but more in a way that you'll appreciate, so I don't like get us way too off the mark. But what we're discussing today when we talk about irony is, the reason why I love irony in an outfit is it gives friction to what you're wearing. And when something has a little bit of friction, it's what kind of jolts you. It makes you feel alive, and it makes you feel like what you're wearing is modern, and it really lifts the things in your closet. And that's something that Tracy and Hannah and I talk so much about when we are designing for a show, when we are styling a show, is there friction there, or is it expected? And so when you have friction, it's a very good thing, and friction is usually achieved through irony. And you know, one of the things too that is really important about friction is it makes you feel a little clever, and we haven't talked about that word too much at all in any of my stories. I talk about chill, modern, classic, all of that kind of stuff. I talk about curiosity. But one of the other things that we all love to feel is clever, because clever is kind of that really nice intersection of creativity and intellect. So when we are going to be talking about irony, it's doing things with a purpose. And it's not, a lot of you guys wrote to me questions, thank you, but asking, you know, is irony just about doing something silly, or, you know, wearing like a rabbit ear or whatever? And it's not. It's much deeper than that, and we'll go into that. So irony can definitely be achieved through physical items. We know that, right? I showed you guys some examples. And I mean, one way to think of it is when you talk about like an ironic example, like a strawberry shortcake bag is ironic, right? But it wouldn't be ironic if it's on a 6-year-old. That would not be ironic. That would be the opposite of ironic. So it's a piece though that like, sometimes you lean into irony because it's a piece that will just make you happy by owning it. And I had given you guys examples here. This was one of my things that I bought. It was a Balenciaga little kitty cat coin purse. And honestly, I really haven't used it, but more because I bought it in white and I should have bought it in black, because I always got worried it would just get like so trashed in my bag. But this I bought because it made me happy. It made me happy. I actually bought it last March, right before lockdown. When I was in Paris, I was at Printemps. I bought it. It made me happy. I wish I bought it in black, but it made me happy. So, you know, as a creative pragmatist, these are things that you can really lean into, those whimsical, odd things that can make you happy. And it becomes ironic when I'm wearing it here with our beautiful blue top here, which I can't remember the name of, but anyways, it's really good. And but this becomes ironic, right? I'm wearing kind of all neutrals, and now we have irony because I've got this fun little cat in my hands. And then clearly, if we were on Paris here, circa 2000s, then you would be losing the irony. And I think this focus on the 2000s is going to be really important when we talk about irony, because if you were there to remember it, it's when a lot of people lost their shit. This is when a lot of people went off the rails, and it's when designers went off the rails. Tracy and I, we hit the guardrails, that third rail a bit at that time. So this is about, you know, knowing what to dip into without absolutely losing your shit. So another thing that comes up a lot in our irony discussion is, you know, can I wear clogs? And so for many people, if you live in certain areas or whatever, if you love clogs, then clogs are not ironic, right? I personally don't wear clogs because I haven't found a way to wear them with ironing. I live in Greenwich, Connecticut, and yes, I work in the city, but I live in a place where there is nothing ironic about clogs. And so for me personally, like, I'll get sucked in a lot. Like when I see Leandra walking around Paris, walking around the Lower East Side. I mean, here she's double whammied it. She's in clogs and a Chanel jacket, and she still looks cool and modern. Don't even think for a hot minute that I would look cool and modern walking around Greenwich, Connecticut in clogs and a Chanel jacket. Because there are about 30 people right now walking down the street of Greenwich, Connecticut in this exact same outfit, but they do not look like Leandra in it. So sometimes irony is really a function of who you are and where you are. And again, this is really, if you really want to make smart decisions about how you buy, really kind of, maybe throw things into the shopping cart when you're shopping, but really do press pause and think about what is it that you're buying and are you really going to wear it? Because you can really get sucked in. Like when I go back and forth on this clog debate, like this picture from the Kate show, like that, like makes me think like, well, maybe I am gonna wear clogs, And then I think, well, if I buy clogs, it's because I want to get a lot of wear out of them, right? But if I start wearing them every day, then I'm probably going to look more like this one than this one. And you see the difference? Like, in order to achieve irony with the clogs here, like in the Kate show, she had to wear the fishnet tights. She's got oil in her hair, like a shit ton of oil in her hair. And I love this look, I really do, but it is a full-on committed look, and I can't put oil like that in my hair every day that I want to wear clogs. So that would defeat the purpose, because while I want to look like this, inevitably I'm going to end up looking like this. People are going to ask me like about what the best seedling is to put in their backyard, and I'm going to have no idea what they're talking about. So, just be careful that irony, if you're looking for it, it has to cause friction. It's really going to be antithetical to who you are and where you live. It's that good opposite, okay? All right, so then we talk about irony in terms of specific items. But I want to talk to you about where do they fall in the pyramid when we talk about our woofs and our in and outs and our had to haves. And irony, the items really fall in your had to haves and in your woofs. Let me just take a step back here for a minute to remind you guys that a had to have is that item that it really struck an emotional chord with you. It hit upon a part of you that maybe not everyone knows about, and it's not something that you wear on your sleeve all the time. It's kind of like your secret thing that you love, or it's something that you love because it's tied to like a really obscure memory that other people wouldn't necessarily know about. And so that's what a had to have is. And a had to have doesn't mean that it has to be very expensive. It can be something like I brought this t-shirt here, and this is from this amazing restaurant on St. Simon's Island, Georgia called Frosty's. And I love it because this was a friend of mine, the one who owned Southern Soul. He bought this restaurant and he put up all these posters of Farrah Fawcett and from Caddyshack and the pinball machines and all this stuff that was there when he and I were, in elementary school, and we used to ride our bikes there, and we had those banana bars on our bikes, and we would go there and just hang out all day, and our parents didn't even care about where we were because they weren't worried, and we didn't even have a cell phone to tell them not to worry, but we were fine. And so that place reminds me of every good feeling that I have. So that's something where I bought that t-shirt because there's irony for me in wearing it. It's a had to have, but clearly now when I bought it, I want to wear it in a way that strikes irony. And so when you're looking at how to get irony out of a t-shirt, for example, one of the ways for sure is like, if I'm wearing the t-shirt and I'm wearing jeans, then I'm not going to turn around and then mix it all up with like a sneaker, right? Like there's nothing ironic about it. Like you're wearing a t-shirt, sure, you should wear sneaker and jeans. Like that makes sense. It's expected, therefore it is not ironic. But if I'm wearing the t-shirt and I'm wearing the jeans and I put on something like this loafer, then it's kind of like one of these sayings don't go together, and that's a good thing. That song becomes a good thing. The Sesame Street song about something not fitting in actually becomes a really good thing here. So this is where you can lean into the irony when it doesn't fit in altogether. So let's talk about leopard for a moment, because that's one of the things where people do get surprised when I have some leopard in my line. And remember guys, I don't have a leopard couch at home. And look, this is a loafer. There's not a platform, and this is not a stiletto. This is a loafer. I would wear a leopard slide, I would wear a low boot, I would wear a loafer, but we do not wear gigantic platform sandals because there's no irony in that, okay? So when there's friction, there's irony. Irony is good. Okay, so had to haves. The important thing to remember about your had to haves is it's really, these are the items too that it's a real slow build when you're buying them. It's something that not everything can catch your eye. You need to be more discerning about that. Not everything can have an amazing memory for you. You need to be more thoughtful than that. So, you know, these had to haves are like collectibles. They should really build up over time. I gave the example of this ring on my IG stories this morning, and someone asked me, you know, why is this ring a had to have versus I had shown it next to the Cartier love bracelet. And one of the reasons why, you know, certainly if you bought the Cartier love bracelet, it could have a lot of emotional meaning to you, right? For sure. But I think that one of the things that you are seeking when you are looking for irony is to present yourself as an individual. These pieces become very individualized to you. And so it really is just digging a little bit below the surface to figure out why is it that you are buying something. And I'm not going to speak for everyone because that would be impossible, but speaking for myself, I would say that there was a time when I wanted that bracelet, but when I wanted that bracelet, it was more of a desire to be fitting in rather than to be an individual and to stand out. So that truism for me does not apply to everyone, but when I scratched the surface on why I was interested in that bracelet, that was what it was for me. If that is the same for you, then I would say to try and be honest with that, and then you'll save a ton of money too, because that was like $7,000 and this was not, okay? And the other thing too that's great when you really lean into irony is it's really incredible when, you know, I'll go to events. Like I said, I live in Greenwich, Connecticut now, right? It's not where I grew up, but I live there now. And there's something that is very confidence building when you're at an event and maybe you are next to the person who's got the 6-carat ring on, and that's fine, like that's their thing. But when my ring is really creative and personal, I'm not comparing my ring to your ring. I'm just doing my thing and you're doing your thing. And I think it really, if you ever have gotten tied up in any notion of keeping up with the Joneses, or if, I don't know what an Italian equivalent of the Joneses would be, the Chiaris or something, I don't know, whatever, the Ferraris.
Close enough.
Something Italian.
Yeah.
But if you are in that keeping up mode, one of the things about your had to haves is it really releases you from that. And when you work those had to haves in with your creative pragmatist style, then you're doing it with a lot of balance and style. You're not doing it like, oh my God, here comes that crazy quirky person who's got on the leopard and the, you know, smiley cat ring and she's got cats all over her wallet. You know, you're not that person. You're just a stylish person who, you know, puts intimate feelings behind some of the things you buy because you love style, and that's why we're here today, because we all have that in common. All right, so I'm jumping ahead, but the had-to-haves in irony. Here's a little checklist for you guys to follow when you're thinking about exactly what that is. Okay, can we all see that? So the checklist is a had-to-have for ironing. You'll rarely wear it, okay? So here's a had-to-have that I bought this year. I love this. This is this Jill Sander chain bag. I will rarely wear this. Are you kidding me? Like, shit falls out all over the place. But when I really consider the right outfit with it, I mean, I wore it one day with like this white sundress and all my earrings, and I just felt so good. So I wore it, but I didn't wear it to work today, and I haven't worn it since. But I will wear it again when I have that occasion and I want to feel amazing. And I will wear it next year and the next and the next. And I will not give it to the Real because it's a purchase that I feel good about, but I bought one of them. I didn't buy 5 of them, I bought one of them. The other time when you, the checklist for a had-to-have that is irony is that when you wear them, they make you feel great. It's not about feeling like confident or ready for a business interview or something. They just like do something for you. It just, like, no one who's wearing this bag should be in a really bitchy, foul mood. You should be in a really good mood. If you're wearing, I don't know, this straddles between woofs and in-and-outs, and I'll explain why later. But you will not be in a bad mood when your feet look like they've been shoved into little blue cookie monsters. That's a really happy feeling. If you're a furry.
Yeah, it's great for cosplay as well.
Wait, what is it called?
Cosplay?
Cosplay?
Yeah, go to Comic-Con or something.
Okay.
Dress up like, you could dress up like Cookie Monster.
Don't do that. Don't do it in my shoes, and don't DM me about your experiences in my shoes. Ew, that would be such a fetish thing for.
Yeah, that could be.
I know. I bet this could go so viral in another way.
Yeah.
Like they could be like, "Why did we sell 5,000?"
Yeah,
What?
Maybe that's the key.
Well, we didn't make 5,000. We only made like 50. But anyways, okay. So another thing when something is a had-to-have and it has irony is you really need the perfect outfit to wear it. It's not that thing that you can just throw on and run out the door. It's kind of a considered outfit, but it's worth taking the time to consider it. When you do, you feel great. Not everything is about, you know, just like pop on and go dressing. Sometimes we want to think about it a little bit, and that's a good thing. You will keep them forever, and again, importantly, like I've said, you acquire them slowly over time. No one goes and gets all their had-to-haves in their house for a year, because if you find yourself doing that, then you know that the next year you're like calling everyone trying to give that shit away, and you got real on dial. Okay, so we talked about irony in your had-to-haves, but then there's irony in your woofs, okay? And remember, woofs are your without fails. They are those things that you live in. And what we talk about here is, I'm so good having typed this out for you guys. Can you believe how organized I am, even with Dion gone? Okay, so when you look for irony in a woof, it is a lot about friction in the item itself. And I will say overall, when Tracy and Hannah and I are designing, that friction in the clothing is one of the most important things that we build into the clothing. And I think that it is actually what makes something a woof for us, because that irony in the physical item in a woof is what makes it the basic that is absolutely not the basic. So I'm going to give you some examples here. So I think first of all, just even in the shirt that I'm wearing, I'm going to show it to you in this colorway as well. And this is one where the irony in it is that it's really so elegant, right? And so dressed up. And you can imagine that if you were wearing this amazing like black satin something or other and incredible jewelry, you would be absolutely like full on like cocktail party. You know, even if someone showed up in a big black tie, you would feel like present and you don't want to shrink into the wall. But you also know that with jeans on here, like I'm perfect for an office, and I could put on a white sweatpant or something and shish up the sleeves, and I would absolutely be running around town and be fine in this. So sometimes you are really pushing for irony in that with all of the great detail, you are still able to wear it all of these different places. It is a basic that is not at all a basic, and that's where the irony resides. Sometimes the irony comes in that you've got the same shape, but you've got it in this Punto Milano fabric, which is a real like heavy t-shirting fabric. So sometimes when you have that friction between a fabrication that is really quite like the casual fabric, but you've done it in such an elevated style, that is where the irony comes. And you know, the things like, you know, they give it the extra push here, like you've got this little detailing on the inside. Are you glad we didn't put that on the outside? That would not be us. But this is what gives it that really nice lift here. So to have basically a t-shirt that has that level of construction to give all of that structure to it is what is creating some really, really nice irony here. And it's so much, right? You're not wearing just a basic t-shirt. And then in the world of the ironies that that you'll have and wear forever, like this is the sweatshirt that we did, the one that I said with my friend who has the amazing Southern Soul barbecue. And this one is one that when we talk about irony, there's usually a real personal connection behind it. You know the story, you know why something was made a certain way, or where it was made, or who it was made by, or what was happening as a result of you purchasing it. So for this one, just to remind you guys, we just got back in another grouping of these onto the site, and $75 of every purchase is going to support small independent restaurants. So this is really good, and it's one of those things where the irony of it comes with what you're wearing it with. Personally, for me, I don't wear it with jeans. I don't love it with jeans, but I do love wearing it like with a big trouser. I love wearing it with, this morning when I came into work, I had a picture of me in that Balenciaga pleated denim skirt. I would absolutely wear that denim pleated skirt with this. And what happens is when your items with irony have a real connection to them, it's like it really gives you permission to go there. You know, I'm not just wearing a random sweatshirt that I bought and I'm like, oh, okay, look at me guys, I'm all like street cool, whatever. It's like, this is supporting Griffin's cause. This is supporting small restaurants. I feel good about it. There is a connection, and that is a great way to bring irony in, is when you really feel viscerally connected to the cause of it. Another thing here is like with something here, I've got the sweater that is chewed out. I was wearing this last week at McMullen in the baby blue. And again, the irony and the friction is that, let's see, actually our little tag guy here is off center, and that's interesting too. So the irony comes in taking a sweater that is in a really, really beautiful wool, and then you've kind of put it through a blender a little bit, but by doing that, it wasn't just for the sake of being there. It actually, like when you wear that sweater, it creates like this whole neckline here where it's like letting you in on the clavicle here, but not here. It's a very interesting look. So it's just having those pieces that clearly this is a woof. Like you will wear this all the time without fail. It will go back with 99% of what is in your closet, but it's chewed out. So there's no way that you're putting it on and you're thinking, damn it, I'm wearing that like chewed out fabulous sweater today. Like it's a good thing, right? Then you get irony when you've got the corduroy stretch dress here. It's super lightweight. You can see it like when it moves. This thing looks beautiful on everyone, but it's corduroy. So it's not just like wearing some kind of skinny stretch dress. It's actually taken way down a notch. But what happens is it's in brown, you can take it down a notch. But then when you mix it with like the big, I'm sorry, there's like this guy screaming, my sushi's here. But when you mix it with the black furry shoe here, then again, you have the whole level of interest. And sometimes the irony comes in mixing up all the textures, right? So I've got the corduroy stretch, I've got the black furry shoe, and then when you mix in something like the shiny pattern, then you've got all of these textures working, and that becomes a really, really beautiful thing. Working in all of these items that have this bit of irony and friction to them, but they are unbelievably deceptively wearable at the same time. Let's see. Looking for irony just in a sweater here that, you guys, these details are so important, okay? Because really, they add the lift to stuff. It gives you options, and they become like the fuel that you need to really work an ironic outfit. Because here, when you're wearing the sweater, what looks really great is then mixing it with the sweatpant, okay? And I gave an example in my stories yesterday, and I said, you know, I wouldn't wear this with just like a basic white sneaker, a basic white trainer, because I don't think that would be super ironic. But I will say, if I was doing a head to toe here in the blue, I think I would do that. Maybe I would wear like the blue earring with it. I would go all blue, and that would be interesting and ironic, but I wouldn't do the white sneaker. And then the thing that gives it, oh, Stella, you know what I do need? Oh, can I have the check blazer, the Edmund check blazer?
Yeah, for sure.
But then when you wear the sweatpant here and you wear the big blazer over it, then it becomes ironic again, and then you can throw on the white sneaker, and it all works, because you really are not just about the sweatpant here. You're not just focused on that sportiness, but you've also got the whole jacket detail, which then puts your focus on the business aspect of it. So then the sneaker works back in, and voila, you are back in like business with your ironic look. Little kangaroo guy here, perfect for irony. Oh, one last thing too, again. The things that like can lift everything, you know, taking something like, these are the Dickies that, if you have come to us post 2 years ago, we did these Dickies, and they became just one of our favorite things, because they were the most instant way to lift an outfit, but they were also so functional. So remember, anything that's going to fall into that woof category and that has irony embedded into it, it has to have a high level of functionality. So what was so great about these Dickies was that, like, I mean, of course, they created this like winter moment, right, where it worked as a scarf. It worked as a hair holder if you're into doing your hair like that, which I am, which my husband then runs around behind me and is like, oh my God, you left your hair in your turtleneck. I'm like, no shit, honey, leave me alone, I meant to. But they just become these interesting ways to provide layers to things. So it's these cool ways of like updating what you're wearing in a simple accessory. So these Dickies are really, really great. And again, they look like they have been put through a blender, but like the world's best blender. And then you can also wear it on the shorter side too, if you want to. So it gives you options. It's really cool. And the easy things where you don't fill up your closet filled with this, but you put a few pieces in, and like all of a sudden, this one piece that, you know what it is? It's like buying that one piece that has all the detail to it that in your old way of buying, from DMing with you guys and talking to you in your old way of buying, these would have been the pieces that like you bought and you couldn't really figure out how to wear it, or you bought it and you wore it just a couple times because you thought that it was like this special piece. And what you realize is when you're buying less and when you're buying in a more thoughtful way, you'll realize that a piece like this is something that you could wear 3 to 4 times a week, unless you live, you know, in Bali where it's like super hot. But seriously, like, these are the kinds of things that when they're really special, but they've got all that functionality that a woof has, you are going to like go crazy wearing it. And it's one of those things where it will never go out of style because it was never really in style. No one's really talking about that trend of the Dickies that look like they've been through a blender, right? So that's your own special thing. And you know that we are like super careful about not overproducing stuff, because the thing about your ironic pieces is you bought them because you wanted to feel special in them. You wanted to feel unique. And so we're not talking about irony like a trend. Like if you were old enough to remember, there was a trend where like every Lucky magazine was like sequins for day. That was like the ironic thing, that someone was walking around in a full-on sequin dress in the middle of the day, and that was ironic. So that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about finding irony because you've done that twist of a woof where you've taken something incredibly refined and luxurious and you've bought it because it has some weird element to it that makes it so weird and interesting, but something that you still want to wear every day. Or you've, you know, splurged or bought this one crazy piece that any of your friends would swear is not you, but you love it anyways, and when you wear it, it makes you really, really happy. So, of course, that puts us into these blue furry shoes. And one of the things about irony and wearing things with the good strange, because you'll see too, like I'm wearing, look, I lifted up my leg there, I had a little sandwich. Keep that down. But, you know, even, oh my God, this sandwich keeps showing.
Jeez.
It's not really a sandwich if it happens when you lift your leg up. Like that, it's only a sandwich if I'm standing here like that. Okay. But anyway, but what I want to say is that really leaning into irony, as we've discussed today, can make your outfit, it can make, wait, I'm sorry. So Derek found this for me, and we can see the resemblance.
That's the vibe. 2021.
Ew, I don't want to know what he's doing. It's
No.
like now we've got like all these like porn channels coming.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it'll give our follower
Tibi
base
down.
increase. This is a nice one too.
Nice.
Okay.
Okay. But one of the things about irony though is having the confidence to wear it. Okay, and that is something that really it can be honed over time. It's great if you have it straight out of the gate, and I didn't, and I really did need to like get that over time. I remember this friend of mine, Jenny Buffet, growing up, like she was always so comfortable wearing things that everyone else wasn't wearing, and I really envied that in her. And for me personally right now, it's acquiring that sense of self where you really are so comfortable not being dressed like everyone else, and you are so comfortable receiving criticism that if it is from someone who you don't care about their fashion, and maybe they wear all like beautiful, you know, super luxurious, expensive fashion, but it's not your fashion, then whatever they say does not matter to you at all. You're not an indifferent person, but you just know that it can't affect you, right? It's not your style. So knowing your style is great. But I know that a lot of you guys, I was just on a college campus recently, 85% of the girls were all dressed exactly alike, and that was not by accident. A lot of that is out of fear. And, and being in the dressing rooms now with enough of you guys over the last couple of weeks, there's a thing, right? Your husband gives you shit, your kids give you shit, maybe a colleague makes a comment. Those of you in IT get really traumatized by the colleagues making comments. So I just want to let you know that, do this in baby steps. Just try one thing. Like if you're not ready to wear the sweatshirt with the pleated skirt, or I wear baseball caps a lot. That's something that like a lot of people come up to me, they're like, well, I wish I could wear a baseball cap and not feel like an asshole. And I'm just thinking, you should not feel like an asshole. Like a baseball cap, it gives you lots of privacy, it can hide your hair, like it's a really good thing. You should not feel like an asshole. But some asshole out there's like, oh, you're wearing a baseball cap, and it's like, you've got to learn to like let go of that. So I think that, like I said, if you're not comfortable wearing the sweatshirt yet with the pleated skirt, it starts by wearing something that is just a little more eased out then, right? So if you'll notice the details to look for, like in this shirt, the shoulder is quite dropped, right? This is what gives it ease. This is where Tibi really differs from a lot of other brands, because there are a lot of brands where you'll see this detail, but look, it's way high up on the shoulder, and that changes everything. Like when this happens, I'm like, I'm not going in the subway, where's my car? But this is like, you know what, if I have to go on the subway, I'll go on the subway. I'm chill, I'm relaxed, whatever. So maybe I'm starting here, maybe you're starting here, but if you want to ease then into like wearing that sweatshirt with a skirt and feeling like yourself in it, then the first way to do it is, get your eye adjusted to just being more effortless in general. So start with a shirt that has a lot of polish like this, and then you'll move on into like the great restaurant sweatshirt. And the same goes with jewelry. So there is a lot of big focus on really bigger jewelry coming down the pike. And I love that. But then there's like, how can you get that moment in something that is a little more accessible? So on Tibi right now, you guys can go ahead and you can sign up for the earrings. And we are going to start our little elf factory. We're going to make these all by hand. So Hannah has just been insane with designing the most beautiful jewelry. But we do want to keep it made by hand. We're not going to offshore this. I don't want to see it out of a big factory. These are super lightweight. Everyone who was trying them on at McMullen last week was really making the comment that they couldn't believe how lightweight they were. So we're selling them in pairs. So you can buy a pair of blue, or you can buy them mismatched. And I really love them mismatched as well. When I was describing that one outfit that I love that I wore with the white dress, I actually wore the white dress and then these, and then carrying the yellow bag. And that just made me like super happy. It felt good. I don't want to use the word color blocking, that gets super overused, but it was kind of like color blocking. So the irony in an earring, the irony in wearing a heel when you're wearing a great sweatpant. And these are, I know that I showed this a minute ago, but these are the navy blue in the Calder sweatpants, which I'm so excited that we've done. I didn't do navy blue in the beginning because Tracy and I, we kept saying, we're like, navy's such a sporty color, maybe it's gonna feel way too sporty. And then like an asshole, I went and bought navy blue sweatpants from like Jill Sander and spent a fortune. I went up to Tracy, I'm like, you know what? If we had made sweatpants in navy blue, I wouldn't have bought them from Jill Sander. No offense, but like, what was I doing? Anyway, so now you can buy them. They're great. And this is that slimmer cut that we introduced when we did the ones this summer. So if you bought the way back ones, then maybe you can size down. But if you bought the baby blue and yellow this summer, same fit, you are absolutely good to go. And I don't like ricocheting anyone on fits, but the reality is sometimes you do something and you learn a little bit from it. And so it makes sense to apply that learning. Other easy ways to get some good irony in is just getting those like pieces that again are the little emotional pieces that can make us feel so good. And so something like the little furry slipper with the jewel, like this becomes a shoe that if you're entertaining at home, these are 37, I'm a 40, so they don't fit like this. But if you're entertaining at home, this is like the perfect shoe for that. And these are the pieces that save the day. Like you could be even wearing some horrible little sporty brand and they're going to work because you've got all that fun irony going on. And then we did the loafers in a slide, which I love. I was really craving just the ease of a loafer slide. You know, I was obsessed for, not even just a hot moment, for a long time when Gucci came out with the first slide, right? And I lived in it, and then, you know, it was kind of so everywhere. But I love the idea of a slide. So here we go, and the little slide here. My ankles look terrible right now, but anyways, you get the idea. They're super cool, and we have them in some different colors. But we're not reproducing the dark brown croc right now. I had a lot of requests for that, and the reason why we're not is we have some great new shoes coming up for spring, and we have a new iteration of that Morris loafer coming out in suede, which is beautiful. And we just don't really want to get crazy overextended. I did a story today about why we are not going to be doing a runway show in a couple weeks. So I hope you guys read it. But it's just very honest. We are going to be doing things that feel right for us, and it doesn't mean that we're being lazy or complacent, but it just doesn't feel right now to be doing a runway show for many different reasons. So we are going to keep on keeping on. The spring collection that is hidden behind me is like beyond insane. So you guys are going to love it when you see it, I promise. Let me just, I bought the band singer t-shirts or tees from a trip. I mean, yes, all those things, like all those band t-shirts. Someone has a Dirty Dancing t-shirt. Yay for you. I would love a Dirty Dancing t-shirt, actually. But all of that can be ironic. You know, what you don't want to do is, like, the other day I was wearing a t-shirt from Loverboy. If any of you guys know that, like Working for the Weekend, that song. Anyways, they were around in the 80s. It's a black t-shirt. It was really cool. I loved it. But I had this weird story about Loverboy and this guy that picked me up on a date, and he had it in an 8-track, and he took me to the Western Sizzlin' for the date, and I wore this white eyelet dress, and I was so excited for that date. And then we went to the buffet at the Western Sizzlin' in Brunswick, Georgia.
It's not a sizzler.
Western Sizzler. So, well, I don't know, because the South does have like those offshoot brands.
Yeah. Oh, it's like a fake sizzler, maybe.
Fake Sizzler.
Okay.
Wasn't even the real Sizzler. So there was a story behind the Loverboy t-shirt. Now, I would not have worn the Loverboy t-shirt with black leather pants and a biker jacket, but I did wear it. I wore it with the nylon cargo pants, the Stella pants. Actually, like this pant. So, you know, this is the kind of thing, like this, if you are wearing like a band t-shirt or something, these nylon cargo joggers and Stella pants become the savior, because then you're like not that person. You're not that person in that low-rise shredded jean with the band t-shirt and a pair of sneakers that have glitter on them. You know, you're not that person. Not that there's anything wrong with that person. They're lovely, but you're not that person. So that's where these come into play. A lot of you guys have asked, are we recutting the camouflage ones? And we are. So we have 100 pieces coming in September, and then we'll have another small reorder coming. And again, guys, these are small quantities. There's certainly small quantities in the world of fashion where someone's like, we only cut 20,000. We don't do that, small quantities. But that's what's going to keep your irony going, because you will not see yourself coming and going, and that is a really good thing. Someone asked if irony can be in your mixture of colors, and I love that. Yes, of course, because that creates friction as well. And so, like when we talked about the corduroy dress here, even wearing the corduroy dress here with the blue, that's like an extra level of friction that is being caused, and it feels really, really great. Or you're wearing the, like maybe the sweatpant here that ties up with the blue fur, and this kind of like really creative mixture of like head to toe color, but then with this extreme, I don't want to use the word pop, because there's like, I hate the word sassy, savory, and pop of color. Even though pop of color is not a word, it's a whole like statement. But anyways, gummy textures, those give lots of irony. These gummy shoes, when we talk about ironic woofs, for any of you guys that have bought these, you know that they are like the shoe that ironically you end up living in. And you would have never thought that like, oh, my most used shoe in my closet is gonna be this like bright red thing with mismatched pockets. But it will be, because it will constantly give friction to your outfit by mixing up all of those textures. And even in the blue, they're really good. I also brought this out because, again, when you are looking for things that you can buy that are just interesting and experimental and can give irony, is like a colored glove. And I know this looks like, I know if I put this on, someone's gonna hand me like a dirty dish, but, well, don't do this. I grabbed two of the same, so I'm gonna put one on backwards. But the reason why I'm gonna pull this out is like, you know, if you're wearing something like a really chill khaki jacket and you want something really interesting coming out of it, like go with a green glove. And then this way, all of these things in your closet are navy, khaki, denim, like they're so simple and easy, but then you wear these like green gloves and it makes them interesting and a little ironic. If you see ironic as something that is unexpected and gives, makes someone think that there's a backstory there. Why did she look like she just went from the kitchen to the subway in her green gloves?
It's a look.
Okay, so guys, I'm going to leave it on that. I'm sure you'll have lots of questions, but I hope that you enjoyed your tutorial on irony today, and there's probably not a whole lot more that we can say on this subject. So enjoy. If you did buy the furry shoes, a lot of you guys have been asking about the sizing on the shoes, and I will say I wear a 40 in any of our items that are more of a pointed toe. I wear like a 40 in, I'll wear like a 39 and a half in Margiela, and then in Prada, I'm like a really solid 40, okay? So these I can wear at 39 and a half, and I even was able to slip on the 39, but it doesn't fit me, it's too tight. But if I were in the store and it was the last one, I could probably convince myself to buy it. But actually I won't, because I lived in Hong Kong and for years I bought the wrong size shoe because they didn't sell my size, so I promise never to do that again. But anyways, these are such a good shoe. Throw them on with socks to avoid sandwiches, but you guys are gonna love them. Wait, before I go, I do wanna show you the red is really good too. And the red is so good because I think it's even a stretch to call it red. It's more like a brick color. So if you're not into that whole fetish thing with the blue, that Derek is like pressing order on his like Cookie Monster
The Cookie Monster
thing, then like this red is totally good too. And I know that we're sold out in a lot of the sizes, so let me know how you feel about them, because we are considering recutting these if Brazil can get them done in time. And by in time, I just mean to like, so that it's not coming in the springtime when people are like, what? And then here we have brown, okay? And the brown is really cool too. These are really good. Yeah, so these are, one is a 39 and one is a 40. Someone's like totally fucking with me today. Anyways, all good. Enjoy. Go get dressed. Buy things slowly, don't buy too much, but when you do see it, you know, and you love it, then buy it. Unless it's like $100,000 or whatever, then don't. But, or, you know, whatever, if you have that kind of bank, then do it. But just buy smart, and don't, you know, when someone does give you feedback, really listen to who it's coming from. You know, when Tracy tells me that something that I look crazy, it's something which she has told me before, I tend to listen. She's like my, like, if you knew the commercials about E.F. Hutton, when E.F. Hutton speaks, when Tracy speaks, I listen. When my neighbor in Greenwich speaks, not so much. So just think about it the same for you guys, and good luck, and let me know if you have any questions. Bye.